Chinedu, what are you doing? Why are you sitting like that?
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
There is nothing there.
Nothing.
Go back to sleep, Mama.
Nobody in Umuaka slept the night, Chinedu screamed. It was not the kind of scream you hear when someone is being beaten. It was not even the cry of a man in pain. It was something deeper, something darker. It was the sound of fear mixed with regret, the kind of sound that makes your heart stop for a moment. Doors opened across the compound. Neighbors rushed outside. Dogs began to bark wildly. Even the night air felt heavy, like something unseen had entered the world of men. And in the middle of it all, one woman ran barefoot, shouting at the top of her voice, "Chinedu! Chinedu!" That same woman had been dancing just a few hours before. Dancing because of money. Chinedu Okeke was the only son of Mr. and Mrs. Okeke, a quiet family living in a small, aging house at the edge of town. The kind of house with cracked walls and a roof that leaked whenever the rain came too hard. Life had never been easy for them, but they managed. Mr. Okeke was a school teacher, a strict man, a man who believed in honesty more than anything else. He often said, "A good name is better than riches," and he lived his life by those words. Every morning, he would wake up early, dress in his neatly ironed but faded clothes, and walk to school with dignity. His wife was different. Mrs. Okeke had suffered too much in life. She had known hunger, she had known shame, she had worn clothes she was not proud of, and deep inside her heart she had made a quiet promise to herself that she would never remain poor forever. Their son Chinedu grew up watching both worlds. He saw his father's honesty and his struggles. He saw other boys his age with better clothes, better phones, and more respect, and slowly something began to grow inside him. It was not just the desire for money. It was the desire to be seen, to be respected, to be somebody. Everything changed the day his friend Emeka showed him his phone. "Guy, see this," Emeka said, smiling. "What am I looking at?" Chinedu asked. "Dollar alert." Chinedu frowned. "What do you mean?" Emeka leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Online work, fast money." That night, Chinedu could not sleep. His mind kept racing. Fast money, easy money, a way out. He didn't tell his parents when he started. At first, it was just small things. A fake profile, a message, a reply. He was nervous in the beginning. His hands would shake, his heart would beat fast, and sometimes he would almost stop. But then, the first money entered. It wasn't much, but it was real, and that was all it took. He came home that evening with bread, sardine, and soft drinks. His mother was surprised. "Chinedu, where did you get money?" He smiled casually. "I helped someone online." She laughed happily. "My son is now a businessman." But his father looked at him differently. "What kind of help?" Mr. Okeke asked quietly. "Just online work, sir." Mr. Okeke stared at him for a few seconds, then said something Chinedu would later remember for the rest of his life. "Be careful." But Chinedu didn't listen. Weeks passed and the money grew. His clothes changed, his shoes changed, his confidence changed. He began to walk like someone who had arrived. And his mother? She was happy, truly happy. For the first time in years, there was enough food in the house. She bought new wrappers. She smiled more. She even began to speak proudly among her friends. "My son is doing well," she would say. But Mr. Okeke was not happy. One evening, Chinedu dropped a thick bundle of cash on the table. "Daddy, take, use it." Mr. Okeke did not touch it. "Where did you get this?" "Online work." Silence filled the room. "I will not take it," Mr. Okeke said firmly. Mrs. Okeke frowned. "Why?" "Because it is not clean." That statement caused tension in the house. "You don't know that," Mrs. Okeke argued. "I know enough. Money like this always has a story behind it, and it is never a good story." Chinedu's face hardened. "So you want us to keep suffering?" Mr. Okeke looked at him deeply and said, "I would rather suffer than lose my soul." From that day, the house was divided. Whenever Chinedu brought money, his mother celebrated him. Whenever his father saw it, he rejected it. The distance between them grew quietly. Then one day, everything changed. A car drove into the compound. Shiny, clean, expensive. People gathered immediately. "Now who buy this car?" someone shouted. The door opened and Chinedu stepped out, wearing sunglasses, smiling like a king. "My son," Mrs. Okeke screamed, running to him.
Who owns
She
this
danced,
car?
she
Now
laughed,
who
she
buy this
cried.
motor? This is
Neighbors
not Waka
cheered.
kind of
Music
car.
filled the air. It felt
Fine
like
car. Oh, yeah,
victory.
come and see.
But inside the house, Mr. Ogeke sat alone in the dark, and for the first time he cried. That was when the peace ended. At first, it was just small things. Chinedu began to hear whispers at night, soft voices calling his name. He would turn, but nobody was there. Chinedu... He tried to ignore it, but it didn't stop. Soon, he couldn't sleep well anymore. He would wake up sweating, breathing heavily, his heart racing like he had been running.
What are you doing?
One night,
Why are
his
you
mother
sitting like
found him
that?
sitting upright
Did you
in
hear
bed.
that?
Yeah,
Chinedu,
what?
what
There's
is
nothing
it?
there.
She asked.
Nothing.
He looked
Go
at
back
her
to
with
sleep,
fear in
Mama.
his eyes. Did you hear that? What? He shook his head slowly. Nothing. But it was not nothing. As days passed, the fear grew. The same money that once brought him joy now felt heavy, like it carried something invisible. Then the messages started changing. The people he worked with began to speak differently. They demanded more loyalty, more commitment. And then one message came that made his blood run cold. Nothing is free. From that moment, Chinedu knew something was wrong, very wrong. He stopped enjoying the money. He became restless, angry, afraid. Even his mother noticed. "What is wrong with you?" she asked one day. "I said I'm fine," he snapped. But he wasn't. Then came the night everything broke. It started with a whisper, then a presence, then a voice. "Time is up." Chinedu froze. "No, time is up." He fell on the ground, shaking, crying. "No, I did everything you asked." "Time is up." And then he screamed, a loud, terrifying scream that shook the entire compound. His mother ran into the room and found him on the floor, trembling, sweating, crying. "They are here," he shouted. "Who?" she asked, panicking. "They've come to collect." The room suddenly felt cold, heavy, wrong. "What are you saying?" she cried. Between fear and tears, Chinedu spoke. "I made a deal." "With who?" she asked, her voice shaking. "They said I must give something in return." Mrs. Okeke felt her body go weak. "What did you give?" she whispered. Chinedu looked at her slowly, his eyes filled with terror. "They said time is up." At that moment, Mr. Okeke entered the room. He had heard everything. "I warned you," he said quietly. No anger, no shouting, just pain. He looked at his wife and asked, "Was it worth it?" Mrs. Okeke collapsed, crying like she had never cried before. By morning, the compound was quiet again, but nothing was the same. The car was still there, the money was still there, but the joy was gone. Chinedu was no longer the same boy, and his mother never danced again. Because sometimes the money you celebrate today is the same money that will destroy everything you love.